Good morning, everyone. Welcome to the Lasham Daily Briefing for Saturday, the 16th of May, 2026. As always, starting off here with the synoptic and a bit of low pressure now out between Greenland and Iceland here, with high pressure still building in, sort of ridging in from down in the general Azores direction there. But the low pressure being the dominant feature in our region for today, with this frontal system, as you can see here, passing through. Initially, this warm front approaching the from the west coast and coming up the country, followed soon after by a cold front, so relatively small warm sector there. That's the picture for 1 o'clock local, so we can expect a bit of deterioration in that weather up until then. But we should certainly get the initial, or if not that, most of the day. Looking at the sat pic, it's very evident that front out to the west there, working its way in. Bit of lower cloud in the south of England at the moment, but certainly an opportunity to operate before this arrives. Not expecting it to be overly low, but there may be some associated rain. Just looking here at the rain radar, see not a huge deal, but certainly showers coming in from the west there, and likewise in the channel. Nothing of great significance at this point in time, but looking at the rain prediction from the Met Office, just running that through. That's showing certainly some increased chance of precipitation, probably some fairly thick cloud by about 11:30, 12 o'clock local time. And then the heavier showers starting to creep their way in from the west. So it could go sort of either way. We could end up with some quite unpleasant weather, or it might hold off and we only see the real brunt of the showers towards sort of late afternoon, early evening. Odium's Taff, they're showing a southwesterly flow 5 knots today with 10 kilometers visibility, overcast at 6,600 feet. And we can expect that to deteriorate as the front advances. Farnborough, their Taff showing as 260 degrees, 5 knots worth of wind, and visibility of greater than 10 kilometers and few clouds at 3,000 feet. And there's a prob 30 of some reduced visibility and light rain from 1 until 4 o'clock. Winds aloft, so to the south of us, southwesterly 15 knots at flying heights, and to the north, more or less the same direction, slightly calmer around about 10. On the ground, a fairly steady westerly flow, plus a slight southerly bias initially, but that's going to be going either side of westerly today. The Met Office forecast giving us speeds initially quite low, peaking around about 8 or 9 knots, with gusts just under 20. Looking at the symbolic forecast here as well, showing definitely a deterioration in that weather, with an increased chance of light rain from about midday onwards. GFS giving us a temperature of around about 10 to 12 degrees in the warmest part of the day, with a dew point of 7. And we're presently up to 7.6 degrees with a dew point of 4.2. So webcam on the south side looking to the west, that was hot air balloon working its way towards us. And if we just refresh that now, see it's zoomed itself in somehow, but the still no great significant weather there. Evidence of that slight thicker clouds out to the west, but nothing that's causing us concern for the morning's flying. Sky-side cross-section showing here, actually soarable window, albeit fairly cloudy up until they're showing a little bit later actually, some of that deterioration, about 1 or 2 or 2 or 3 o'clock actually for the first signs of those showers, but then a progressive deterioration in the conditions from there onwards. Top meteo is somewhat agreeing, so 9 o'clock local to begin with. See cumulus for a little while before the thicker autocue starts to work its way in, sort of early afternoon, and they're getting worse as the day goes on. No temps, nothing of great significance given the forecast, but number 13 here is for some aerobatic flying at Popham. We'll expand on that shortly in the local briefing. But first, we'll go on to glider bookings. So just the one K21 for booked flying today. And there's also a K21 and a K13 for the youth group, as well as a K21 on the casual list. There is some single stitcher availability, and the simulator is available should be required later on today. So we got the Vintage Gliding Week, the Vintage Gliding Club's week of flying here at Lasham. So that starts today. Well, it doesn't start today, the 18th, but it will start on the 18th. So if anyone's interested in coming out for that, make sure you're here from Monday and enjoy some of the flying that the week will bring. And we're hosting an inter-club league this weekend, so I'd like to welcome all of our visitors from the nearby clubs and hope that we can make the most of the weather. So talking about the Popham aerobatics area, they've got a training event on. So here we have there are various training areas. Popham Airfield just down at the bottom of the screen here. So they'll be operating to the north, sort of north of Beam Bays, so slightly further north of that. And so do just be aware, try and avoid flying north of Popham within this area. But nothing to report this morning as far as movements are concerned. And reminder about the Boyne Wave Expedition. So we still got a high pressure building in the mid-Atlantic with lower pressure systems still dominating the region. Got warm front approaching from the west, bringing deteriorating conditions by around early afternoon, and there's a potential for some rain as well. A moderate westerly flow throughout, and we'll be operating runway 27, cables on the south side. As always, don't land or taxi across the disused runway shown in red, and there's our airfield set up to finish, winching south of the runway here, returning for the club north of the centre line. Any requirement for a grid should there be one would have been in the usual place with self-launches, queuing linearly along the Perry track. So for me this morning, we'll see you out there shortly. Let's make the most of the window we have and keep it safe. Thank you.